Coming up this week on High School Sports Weekly, brought to you by OS1 Sports Injury Clinic.
Talking football, of course, Class 7A Region 3 from week number 7.
We're going to meet Joseph Sullivan, Pat Sullivan's grandson from Vestavia.
And an inspiring story of an Oak Mountain volleyball standout in Emily Cox. OS1 Sports Injury Clinic in Hoover is a proud partner of High School Sports Weekly. OS1 has fellowship-trained sports medicine physicians right here in your community. There's no appointment needed. Just drive up to the door. They've got X-ray and MRI on site. So now, being injured or having an orthopedic issue doesn't mean you need to be exposed to sick people. Avoid the hassle and time of going to an ER when you can get more specialized care in a more timely fashion at OS1. Open 7 days a week to serve you. It's OS1 Sports Injury Clinic, and find them online at bettersooner.com.
You're watching High School Sports Weekly. Go Warriors!
Welcome once again, everybody. I'm Chris Stewart along with Susan Carruthers. Great to have you with us here for High School Sports Weekly, brought to you by OS1 Sports Injury Clinic. Week 7 of the high school football season, finally in the books.
Yes, we've made it this far.
We have made it this far. A lot of people didn't think
Feels like a victory.
It does indeed. Just getting to this point of the season is a victory, but a lot of games to recap, some wins, some losses. We had games all within the region, so half won, half lost. Let's break down the marquee matchup really in the state. It was Hoover and Hewitt-Trussell, number 2, versus number 4, and Hoover was able to hang on, Susan, to win this one 29-28.
That's right. A little bit of a struggle for Hoover. Coach Niblett after the game said some nights you don't play your best, so you got to find a way to fight through it and persevere. A lot of Hoover's success came from running back Jalen Taylor, who had to step up. Actually, Coach Niblett's quote was "next man up" because of Dylan Pauley, their running back that was injured.
Yeah, they were really fortunate too. A drop ball late in that game by Hewitt-Trussell, a difference maker as well. Thompson just keeps rolling along. They defeated Vestavia 38-9. So now the Warriors and the Bucks perfect at 7-0 overall, 4-0 in region play.
That's right. Thompson just continues to dominate. Despite Vestavia finding several moments of momentum, Thompson just appears to be unstoppable at this point.
Really impressed with Oak Mountain because they bounced back after losing for the first time all year to Hoover and did so in a big way. They came back and beat Spain Park in convincing fashion, 48-17.
That's right, but Spain Park, their 4th loss in a row, they really need to rally if they have hopes to compete with Hoover next week.
They have no margin for error for right now, that's for sure. Oak Mountain 5-1, 3-1 in the region. Also a team that was back in action and picked up a win. Tuscaloosa County, a big win for them as they knocked off Gadsden City 26-23.
That's right, a close game there. Gadsden City tried to tie it up by kicking a field goal with 30 seconds left in the game, but Tuscaloosa County blocked it to hang on to that victory.
They're now 2-4 on the year, got their first region win. They're now 1-3. Legacies and legends aren't anything new for Vestavia Hills High School football players. Their coach, Buddy Anderson, has been with the team since 1972, and when he retires this season, he'll retire as the state's winningest high school coach. But the legacy for this team doesn't stop there, as Donette Logan tells us. Among the players, the grandson of Auburn great Pat Sullivan.
The resemblance can't be denied, from the smile to the dark hair to that unforgettable laugh. When you look at Joseph Sullivan, it's easy to see his grandfather, Heisman winner and Auburn great Pat Sullivan.
As a grandfather, he was so loving. He loved every single one of us, his grandkids, and he loved us so much.
But when you talk to Joseph, you quickly realize it's more than his looks he got from his grandfather, but it's also his kind heart.
My best memory with my grandfather was probably last year when his health started getting pretty close. And I would go to his house on Thursdays after practice and just spend some time with him. We may not talk at all, or just we'd talk. But one time I got there before he had woken up, and my grandmother told him that I was here to see him, and his head shot up, and to me that was really special because it just showed how much he cared.
In December of 2019, Pat Sullivan lost his battle with cancer and passed away. Now a senior at Vestavia Hills High School, Joseph has found a new way to keep a piece of his grandfather's memory with him. Every Friday night when he suits up for the Rebels, he puts on that famous number 7 when he hits the gridiron.
It's just so much more than a game now, and to wear his number, it's not just me at the time, and I feel like I have to go out there and just play the best of my ability, and it's just so much more.
But his grandfather was so proud of him, just so proud of him in all aspects, not just to being an athlete, but in the kind of person he was. And it's just been a great pleasure. And the times I was able to talk to Pat was just so excited that he was here, playing here at Vestavia.
With the Sullivan bloodline, many would assume Joseph is planning to head to the Plains next fall. And while nothing is final yet, we may be seeing him on a different type of field in a different uniform. Joseph is looking at playing baseball in college and already has offers from different universities, including South Alabama.
I kind of developed the skill set with baseball and my speed and hitting. I've been pretty coachable, thankfully, with baseball. So
Joseph Sullivan plans to study pre-med and hopes he can live up to the type of man his grandfather, Pat Sullivan, was away from the field.
Joseph is a fine young man, and he's a good athlete, and I'm just tickled to death he's with us, and he's a leader, and just not only football and baseball. So we're just so proud of him.
I hear new stories about him every single week of just how great of a man he was off the field, and that's, to me, that's more than the game of football. And so that's what I try to do. I try to be like him off the field.
In Vestavia, Donette Logan, High School Sports Weekly.
Well, War Eagle and go Rebels.
You can say that as the Auburn and Vestavia grad. I will simply say go Pat Sullivan. He was absolutely one of my favorite people.
Absolutely, and that was a great story. When we return, I'm going to introduce you to Emily Cox, an Oak Mountain volleyball player that I got to sit down with last week and learn a little bit about her story.
OS1 Sports Injury Clinic in Hoover is a proud partner of High School Sports Weekly. OS1 has fellowship-trained sports medicine physicians right here in your community. There's no appointment needed. Just drive up to the door. They've got X-ray and MRI on site. So now, being injured or having an orthopedic issue doesn't mean you need to be exposed to sick people. Avoid the hassle and time of going to an ER when you can get more specialized care in a more timely fashion at OS1. Open 7 days a week to serve you. It's OS1 Sports Injury Clinic, and find them online at bettersooner.com.
Welcome back. One of our favorite things to do on the show, and one of the things we're hearing the most about from you, are the special stories that we get to do each week on these outstanding student athletes. I got the opportunity last week to sit down with Emily Cox from Oak Mountain and hear more about her story. Emily Cox is the definition of the word fighter. She has fought through not one, but 2 congenital heart defects. The first was discovered when Emily was born and required surgery to allow for necessary blood flow to her extremities. As Emily grew up, she began to understand the importance that staying active could have on her health. She got involved in gymnastics and ultimately found her place on the volleyball court at Oak Mountain High School. When she was 13 years old, Emily began experiencing symptoms of extreme fatigue. During a volleyball tournament, Emily actually blacked out on the court, which led to a diagnosis of a second congenital heart defect, this time blocking blood flow to the center of her heart. Emily needed surgery again, but this time she was told that she would never play sports again and that the recovery would take 1 year.
A major part of it is just my personality is resilient, and so I wanted to play volleyball, and I wanted to be back with my friends at school in the fall, and I just didn't want this surgery to keep me down for a year. And I think part of it that helped me was my faith too. My faith is really important to me, and so I think that finding my strength through God really helped me.
Miraculously, in just 2 short months, Emily made a full recovery and was back with her team on the volleyball court.
And I just really pushed to be able to play my fall season. So I had surgery in May and then really wanted to be able to play in August, so I worked hard that summer to get back to where I could at least do a little bit and contribute a little bit.
But she couldn't sit around doing nothing during her recovery. Emily took the initiative to use that time to create and sell water bottles, which helped raise hundreds of dollars for the American Heart Association.
So right after I had surgery, I was pretty bored, pretty pent up, with a lot of energy, and so I made these like water bottles. I think I called them Hope water bottles, and basically I just sold them and monogrammed them and would sell them to raise money for the Heart Association.
Emily continues to focus on school and volleyball, but she's also intensified her efforts to raise money and awareness for the American Heart Association.
I'm very involved with them. They do a lot of stroke and disease work, heart disease work, and so I helped plan the Heart Walk this year, and just kind of was a spokesperson for them, basically, just telling my story.
Emily and her family were heavily involved with this year's Birmingham Heart Walk. Emily's dad served as the chairman, and Emily as a spokesperson and an inspiration to many.
I had a congenital heart defect, which is pretty common. About 1 in 100 kids have it. But stroke and heart disease is even more common, which is the American Heart Association's really main focus. And so their focus is living healthier, more exercise and diet balance kind of lives. And so really just the awareness of living healthy, happy lives. And then, of course, funding is huge. I mean, they fund a lot of research and projects done just to help heart patients.
The future is bright for Emily as she continues to bring awareness to heart disease and draw support from her faith, family, and volleyball team.
I just think that your health conditions don't really define who you are. And so they're a major part of me and who I am, but I don't let them define me. I live my life, and I think everyone should do that as well.
Susan Carruthers, High School Sports Weekly. What an inspiring story about Emily. It was really a pleasure to get to sit down and talk to Emily and also talk to her coach, Grace Burgess. And Grace told me about the day that Emily came in and told her that she would never have to have another heart surgery. The doctors had told her that she was done and she was cleared to play, and they cried together. And it's really our joy to bring you these stories.
Thank you so much, Susan. Well, we've got high school football another week coming up. We hope. Actually, we think that's going to be the case. Right. Games have moved up, and normally we're talking about this for Friday night. Truth is, a lot of you are watching our show maybe on the way to a ball game somewhere, but there are some key matchups in the rankings. Really haven't changed a lot at the top. You would think so because there's so many teams beating each other in Class 7A Region 3, but the teams that are not losing are still teams 1 and 2. That's Thompson in the top spot, Hoover at number 2. Auburn has moved into number 3. Now Hewitt-Trussville, despite 2 losses, only at number 4. That's because those 2 losses are to number 1 and to number 2 so far. And from our area, also receiving votes, Oak Mountain is there now, 5-1 on the year.
All right, well, we look forward to recapping Week 8 of football next week. Of course, we've got Hurricane Delta on the way, so everybody stay safe out there. Also, continue to send us any story ideas that you might have, and please like and share our videos on Facebook.
And we look forward to seeing you next time right here on High School Sports Week.